We are about to begin. Are there announcements? All right, no announcements. By announcements, I mean announcements that were not on the email and not in the back of the bulletin today. So, here we go. Joys and concerns. Now we'll do that a little bit later. All right, so as you are welcome here. Visitor, friend, or longtime member, you are welcome here. With little children or your partner or alone, we joyfully welcome you here. You are welcome here as believer or doubter, as joiner or loner. You are welcome here. Feeling a part of us or not, full of energy or not, seeking a vision or a rest. You are welcome to join us as you are. We acknowledge that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Nez Perce, Blackfeet, and Anishinaabe people who shared the Helena Valley as hunting grounds. The indigenous story of the Helena Valley began long before the arrival of Europeans. We honor those who walked here before us. We honor the path they have shown us in caring for this place for generations to come, and we strive for justice and fair relations with their descendants. All right, we are going to light the chalice. And everybody can say this together as we light it. As we kindle this chalice, we honor each of our lights within. As we spark this flame, we ignite glowing threads of connection one to another, an entangled web of fire that warms the world. And now we're going to stand up as we are willing and able and sing "This Is Your Ground." This is out of Your Heart songbook. It's on page 36. Actually, that is Open Your Heart.
Mackenzie, will you bring that stand around?
All right. Now, do you need this mic? Absolutely.
guards us and holds us in. We won't fly off to Venus or Mars, even though we're shooting stars. Lie on the grass and breathe the air. Feel the force that holds you there. You shining star, you soaring soul. This is your ground. Here you belong. The days fly by when you're living large, when you're thinking deep and you're taking charge. No matter how high you leap and spin, the planet reels you in. Lie on the grass and breathe the air. Feel the force that holds you there. You shining star, you soaring soul. This is your ground. Here you belong. The fish that swim and the birds that fly, the mole in the ground, and you and I. The law of gravity holds the dove, but we could call it love. Lie on the grass and breathe the air. Feel the force that holds you there. You shining star, you soaring soul. This is your ground. Here you belong. Through days' confusion and nights' alarms, we're held in the planet's leafy arms. When I'm too far to reach your hand, you've got a place to stand. Lie on the grass and breathe the air. Feel the force that holds you there. You shining star, you soaring song. This is your ground. Here you belong. You shining star, you soaring song. This is your ground. Here you belong.
Thank you, Judy and Mackenzie. That was a beautiful harmony. This is one of my favorite songs ever. All right, joys and concerns from the bowl. Yeah, somebody brought them up already. Yeah, I think we had 2 people on that. Okay. So, for the opportunity to fill my days with theater and music, that's a joy. The Secret Garden is beautiful. Opens at Grand Street, April 10th through May 3rd. This is from Janice. Number 1, joys. Saw lots of Big Sky Fellowship at the City Commission hearing regarding desired interaction and acceptable behavior of federal ICE agents and trying to resist tyranny of Gianforte and Knudsen. Good thing. Number 2, on the fellowship at No King's Rally trying to resist tyranny of Trump, his crew, and our congressman. Number 1, a concern. Now the real work must begin, unfortunately, but BSUU had presence. Are there other joys and concerns?
Well, this is kind of a follow-up to Janice's, but the rally was really beautiful in Helena yesterday. Thousands of people. They always undercount. I'd say there was at least 3,000 people there. That whole lawn was full. And looking through at the photos from all around the country and the world was really fun. Today I downloaded my photos and just enjoyed revisiting the creative signs. And so I think it's really important to stay in touch with that emotionally, because if you think about too much of the other stuff, it's depressing and demobilizing. So I think we have to keep ourselves encouraged.
Others.
I've got 2. I work on Saturdays, so I don't get to participate, but seeing so many people from our fellowship there, I feel like I was there. And thank you so much for participating. And also the Civic Center, I saw you there on TV, you're famous. But I also wanted to say thank you guys, because even though I have to work on Saturdays, I know that my fellowship is still being, we're still there, and I could be there in spirit with you guys, because I can't be there. And also, I wanted to thank our new friend for coming today. So.
All right, any other joys and concerns?
I didn't get here in time to put it in the bowl, so because I was on FaceTime with my new grandbaby, and Calvin's just great, and he's cheerful and roly-poly, and I can't wait to see him in June.
Okay. All right. Now we have the story for all ages. I prefer to have my kids stay right where you are with mom and dad, and because we have the story up here, and it's really for everybody as well as our children. Here we go.
Friends, welcome to another reading time with Ring Around Renina. Our book today is called You Matter, written and illustrated by Christian Robinson. This book was published in 2020 by Athenaeum Books for young readers. You Matter. The small stuff, too small to see. Those who swim with the tide and those who don't. The first to go and the last, you matter. When everyone thinks you're a pest, when something is just out of reach. Look at this T-Rex. And here's the itch that he can't scratch. Uh-oh. When everyone is too busy to help, you matter. If you fall down, if you have to start all over again, even if you are really gassy, you matter. This is the sun. Sometimes home is far away. Here's the astronaut. And look, she's holding a picture. Sometimes someone you love says goodbye. Sometimes you feel lost and alone, but you matter. Old and young, the first to go and the last. The small stuff, too small to see. You matter. The end.
As you journey, may you know, peace and love go with you, peace and love go with you. Learn and grow, learn and grow.
And now we are going to take the offering, and it is followed by Thank You for Loving Hands from the Open Your Heart songbook on page 25. And if you are a guest here, your presence is your gift to us. So no worries about putting anything in the plate. So there we go. right, now, the next thing we're going to do is a reading, and this is a responsive reading. Judy, would you like to do the response, or maybe Katie? That would be number 661 in the back of the the Living Tradition book. And give some time for people to find that. I will read the main font, and then Katie will lead the congregation in reading the italics. This is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. The heart knoweth. We have a great deal more kindness than is ever spoken.
The whole human family is bathed with an element of love like a fine ether.
How many persons we meet in houses, whom we scarcely speak to, whom yet we honor and who honor us.
How many we see in the street or sit with in church, whom though silently we warmly rejoice to be with.
Read the language of these wandering eye beams.
The heart knoweth.
Now we're going to sing the hymn in the same book. It's number 15, The Lone Wild Bird. Feel free to stand as you are willing and able. Now I'm going to do a reading of Psalm 139. O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in, behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in a secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days were ordained for me, were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I am awake, I am still with you. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Thank you for the opportunity to reflect on the first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. As a dedicated introvert, I am a self-help, self-improvement, and progressive theology books junkie. And I write. A lot of what I'm pulling from this talk is from authors such as Gary Zukav and the Judeo-Christian Bible. But especially I want to mention Elizabeth Lesser's book, The New American Spirituality, which I serendipitously snagged at the Holter Museum's amazing sale of books from the late David Spencer's vast library. And it so happened that a few penciled in notes connected me to a like-minded soul. First, I want to look at the word inherent. Inherent means we had worth and dignity in the first place. In the beginning. We have it now and into the future. It's there inside of us in every molecule, every electron, proton, and quark. Every cell and system in the body, every nerve, every toenail. And in forms of our unseen energies, our thoughts, feelings, hunches, prayers. Emanating from all of it is our worth and dignity, no matter what. In other words, inherent worth and dignity is a given. That's the no matter what part. Solid, like an unshakable inner rock. I relate to rocks. Rocks tell us stuff. Here's an excerpt from my poem, Looking Up from Highway 6. As velvet skirts flow down, her sifted sand falls easy, whose release reveals bared integrity. Towering stone. Towering stone surveys those living within the oasis of time, creation, entrusted to be as it is, for its own sake. As it is for the sake of earth, as it is for soul of earth. I like another name for the unshakable inner rock, seat of the soul, as termed by Gary Zukav in his book of the same title. My connection to spirit, the sacred, feels important to me. Spirit is the substance of my inner rock. I've said this before and I'll say it again and again. I believe all sentient beings connect with the divine. The ways we connect are infinite. How we connect, what the way is, does not matter. This is how it doesn't matter. As possessors of the divine spark, we are co-creators. We set our own unique terms, and the unseen higher intelligence that is in all forms imaginable is ubiquitously expansive enough to meet us in that place where we are. At 9 years of age, I made the choice to follow a strict, non-denominational, fundamentalist Christian religion. As a kid in a dysfunctional family where my only peace was in my bedroom with the door closed, I chose to grow up as alone as possible, despite being surrounded by 5 other siblings and our parents. My connection with reality became the God-centered rock within me, and I hung on to it for dear life. Later, exploring other religions, practicing yoga, meditation, and other forms of Christianity, I found that very little of that was a good fit for me. Even so, my inner rock remained the seat of my soul. I'm pulling out one phrase of that poem for a closer look. Creation entrusted to be as it is. Another way of saying it is, all sentient life forms in the universe are entrusted to manifest our true nature. That is the mission. Be who you are. Be who I am, whatever that is, which has always bugged me. It's ironic that it takes pretty much all of my life to find out who me is. I tell God, I have to find myself, and God says, oh, don't worry about it. You'll run into it just like you looked high and low for last year's checkbook register and then found it tucked in Thoreau's chapter on economy. And by the way, what's that all about? Well, God, if you must know, I was comparing my mortgage payment with the $28.12 it cost Henry to build his cabin. I want my own cheap cabin. You do that, Karen. You just might find yourself. Long story short, I peel through an infinite number of constantly changing layers of who I think I am. Those layers are mere costumes, and over time they don't seem to matter much. I'm thinking the ego generates those layers of who I think I am. I want to talk about this psychological term, ego. Ego has a seedy reputation in our culture. Its allegedly selfish qualities are not on my resume. But because I'm human, I have an ego. And it's not packing its bags and going elsewhere. Elizabeth Lesser analogizes ego as a psychic equivalent of gravity. Without gravity, the stuff of life would fall apart. Ego holds us together in a pattern that we call self. The British psychoanalyst D.W. Winnicott uses the phrase imposed coherence to describe ego's natural effort to hold the self together. Imposed coherence. Lesser goes on to say ego holds the same delicate balance as physical gravity. When ego's force is too strong, it dominates reality, forcing one into a confined, heavy sense of self, over-identifying with self-importance, and a sense of separateness, isolation. Conversely, the weak ego feels like a fearful state of helplessness, with no boundaries, no center. Both extremes are out of balance. Lesser goes on to say the best way to deal with ego is to get to know it. Get to know it well enough to understand when it is serving you as a balanced, healthy ego. What the Sufis call the wisdom mind. And learn to recognize it when it is a false ego, the isolated, small, false self. Buddhist psychiatrist and author Mark Epstein observes that during meditation, we find ourselves sitting in the chaos, which is at odds with the ego's need for coherence. At low points in my life, who I am falls apart and needs to be put back together differently. I get rid of things that don't work anymore, bring in new parts, and all of it undergoes renovation. In those meditations, inner chaos matches the outer chaos. Our culture is morally biased to favor service to others over self-care. Likewise, we assume that recognition of inherent worth and dignity refers to how we should perceive and treat others. That we should appreciate worth and dignity within ourselves is somehow not as important. But I contend nurturing a sense of worth and dignity by directing forgiveness and compassion to ourselves is required to be able to recognize and support worth and dignity in others. My insular childhood shaped me for life. Consequently, my perspective tends to be self-referenced. I'd like to say I know everything about how to nurture a sense of worth and dignity within the individual self, but that is not true. Nurturing your sense of inherent worth and dignity is an inside job, and just as importantly, connecting with those outside the self. We are each other's lifelines, the outside job. Here's an inside job that has everything to do with the outside. It doesn't make sense that life circumstances should affect my sense of worth and dignity. How much money I make does not determine my worth. What clothing I wear, how many points I made, even that three-pointer at the final buzzer, does not define my personal value. What my religion is, or what I say I believe, does not encompass all of who I am. Who I am connected with, who might be my partner, does not define me. Here's a big one. What I do for a living, even if my work, accomplishments serve the greater good and park me on a pedestal as a paragon of virtue, it still does not put a measure on my worth. Another big one. The successes and failures of our children do not determine our worth as parents. None of these things or any other factors define or put a measure on our sense of worth and dignity, unless we let it. And we do. We do let all these things affect our sense of worth and dignity. So, what's going on here? I blame the ego. Again. The flow of energy goes both ways in both the inside and the outside jobs. I'm amazed at those times when I got stuck and I needed help from outside myself. I got a helping hand, a new way of thinking, a spark in the dark. This is a story from my first talk here. I shared a dorm room with a woman coming from a well-established family in our religion. She attended Sunday morning meetings a couple times, but then wasted no time sowing her wild oats. I didn't go to any of those parties. Yet I realized there was this big worldly world out there that I was missing out on, and I felt lonely, disconnected. We lived in a high security section of the dorm, meaning no men were allowed. Late one Saturday night, my roommate was out partying as usual. While alone in our room studying, I heard a quiet knock on the door. I answered and was shocked to see a tall young man standing there. He somehow got by the security cameras. Recognizing him, I let him in. He politely sat down on my roommate's bed, back against the wall, long legs crossed at the ankle. I sat across from him and we talked for a good while. Before leaving, he told me he'd like to see me get out more. I gave him my usual religious excuse. So hollow and dead. He knew. He was my spark in the dark. A few weeks later, I quit this suffocating religion that I had so believed for so long. Skirt hemlines went up. Hair came down. And as for God, I gave them a break. I met Ken 12 years later, and he gave me the golden thread of a new way of thinking. Learning about life in an infinitely bigger universe. Numerous sparks in the dark and gold connecting threads flew at me when I served as a BSUU accompanist years ago. Loyal to the Christian perspective, I still held a secret yearning for a progressive spiritual path, and there it was. Making a shift felt scary. When I quit accompanying, it just so happened my name stayed on the BSUU announcements email list. I kept up on what was going on. I quietly read the book club books. I worried about BSUU during those difficult COVID years. And then one Sunday, I had to come to the fairgrounds shelter on a cold December day to hear Gemma talk about climate change. I had to. And many of you know the rest of the story. The sparks shooting out into the dark, simply coming from UUs being who they are, is infinitely more impactful than we might ever realize. The other 6 principles support inherent worth and dignity. Specifically, our coffee group had a deep dialogue on the 3rd principle, acceptance of one another and to spiritual growth in our congregations. We realized that acceptance needs boundaries so that it can't be used as a guise for tolerating harmful behavior. Acceptance must be balanced with justice and accountability. Well, it turns out encouragement to spiritual growth shows us the path for that practice of acceptance. It's about balance. I am most grateful that we can have those discussions. We glean the insights and grow. It's like a magic wand of grace over our genuine efforts to recognize the inherent worth and dignity of ourselves and others around us. May it continue to be so as we change and grow. Blessed be. Now we will have a silent meditation time. Now we have reflections.
I just want to say that was so thoughtful and Karen, so beautifully written. Thank you so much for doing that.
I was going to say that this thought of inherent worth and dignity, I say it a lot to my clients, and that for some people, that maybe the first time they've ever heard it, and the idea that they have worth just from being them is also something we teach in Circle of Security parenting class, which is, your children are just for being them, their inherent worth and dignity, not their accomplishments. So when you're saying that stuff today, it really resonated with a lot of stuff I do. So thank you, Karen.
All right. Oops. Yeah. I forgot what we're doing next here. Let's see. Oh. We are going to, before we extinguish the chalice, we're going to sing As We Leave This Place on page 52.
chalice dims, but the fire still burns within our hearts. Beyond these doors, now as we leave this place, memories of each and every face carry us into the world, and we will return, for now we know that something greater than any of us alone is part of us as we leave this place. Now as we leave this place, the chalice dims, but the fire still burns within our hearts. Beyond these doors, now as we leave this place, memories of each and every face carry us into the world, and
extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now we're going to form in a closing circle, amoeba shape. And Judy's going to teach us this song by John Fromer, Not for Sale.